And welcome to the Daily Space Weather, Sunday night Space Weather Crew. Today's stories will be coronal holes and filaments. Spectacular imagery tonight. And you might see that dark feature. That's a coronal hole. We're already getting some high-speed stream from that. It showed up a little earlier than many forecasted. High-speed stream already showing up. Just to the east of sunspot 3500. Which is the bright region right south of the Earth scale. You'll also see huge filaments all over the Earth-facing portion of the solar disk. Likelihood of coronal mass ejection to continue here into tomorrow is about 100%. Check out all the filaments up there. We have had multiple coronal mass ejections, which we'll also be covering later. Some freaking sweet imagery today. And this massive prominence up here in the northwest is still present. You can expect to see a series of large CMEs. Expect a large CME coming out of the northwestern limb. Anytime, basically. There is an unsustainably huge amount of plasma suspended up there. And it's not all visible in this imagery, by the way. Let's move a little bit south and take a look at these filaments up close. So those are several Earth diameters just in height, at least an Earth diameter and a half or so. 10,000 kilometers or so. Some pretty decent features there. Also a crown prominence hanging out at the southern hemisphere, the south polar region. Some great dark absorption features there, and a little void above it, as it does have its own magnetic field and electric current. Sunspot 3500 has indeed been the sunspot to watch. One of the more exciting sunspots of the solar cycle so far, in that it was associated with a KP7 G3 geomagnetic storm. There's 3500 at a little closer detail. And also we did have a CME coming out of the southeast. There is the culprit. And let's take a look at, there is the SDO continuum. And we saw a little increase in sunspot number here. So we saw some sunspot formation here. Several sunspots just spontaneously formed there, and a new sunspot rose down here. So, little uptick in the sunspot number today. That would be at least an increase of about 30 sunspots on the sunspot number. There's colorized magnetogram depicting December 2nd and December 3rd to date. And before we get to volcanoes and earthquakes and so on, take a moment to press the like button. If you're new to the channel, press subscribe. Congratulations on realizing it exists. It's only been the world's most comprehensive daily space weather content 6 years running. No big deal. And if you want additional content, become a member of the Smash team. Now, little quick demonstration here. You see how it says posts? Yeah, well, it also says log in. You can see we're not logged in here, right? Log in. So if you click posts, you'll actually see some posts like today's tsunami warning. And the very rapid response about geomagnetic storms showing up. Massive Earth-directed CME likely. You can see how quickly that showed up. Just after 3 p.m. on the 28th. So there's your additional, that's a paid endorsement, by the way, from smashomash.com/SmashTeam, the official subscription services of the Smash News Network, least busted name in news. Kind of like Patreon, just way better. Today's featured product on the Amazon shop is curry powder, because tomorrow night we're making curry chicken. So there you go. Buy your curry in a 16-ounce size. and save a boatload of cash. Maybe you'll even get a curry chicken recipe tomorrow night on Instagram, so make sure you follow us over there as well. Instagram.com/SmashOmash. Another paid endorsement is the Hemp Lucid Shop. Don't forget to enter the promo code SmashOmash10 to save 10% on checkout. Lots of different products there. Mushroom stacks, sleep stacks, immune stacks, stress stacks, gummies, CBDs, Delta 8s, body balms and lip balms. Body cream, I haven't tried that yet. Focus mushroom gummies, those are used regularly. Try those out, perhaps. Includes cordyceps, is it? I forget. Anyway, save 10% with the promo code SmashOmash10 on checkout. Promo code SmashOmash10 on your checkout. Today's featured product from the Redbubble merch shop. You can find it at SmashOmash.com. If you click the Smasho merch link, it's also linked below this video in order of, I believe it's best selling or maybe it's newest. The Do the Math products featuring an ultra high resolution SDO image there. That's 171 angstroms from, what was that, back in February? February 24th, I want to say. As there was quite a bit of activity kicking up in February. Late February of 2023, if I do remember correctly. So do the math. 8 = capital D. So there's the work. Don't suck at math. Do the math. And one of Smash staff's favorite designs. 36 others on dozens and dozens of different types of products. They make great gifts, and you can still save a boatload, up to 40% site-wide on the various different merch products there. And don't forget the Particle Physicist segment. A little bit more house cleaning here. The Ask a Particle Physicist segment. If you haven't seen it, go watch one of our Friday space weather videos. The last two have featured an Ask a Particle Physicist segment featuring the monotone from Minsk, Eugene Bagashov. And don't forget to subscribe to his channel. Subscribe to his channel or there will be ramifications. Located in Belarus, Minsk. Or Minsk, Belarus, I guess you should say. City first, after all. So yeah, check out his videos. Some pretty popular ones up there. And congrats to Eugene for his recent increase in subscribers. It's almost as if somebody purchased ads for him. What do you think of that? Pseudoscience, now a political term. Yes. And I think his top video might be one of my favorites. If you want to ask a particle physicist a segment question, then do it on the forum at smashomash.com/forum. If you head there, you can scroll down and you'll find a general science forum. If you click on that, right there, you'll find the Ask a Particle Physicist segment. Just put your question in there, as we don't want to try to use the YouTube comments section for things like this because, well, it's a lot more reasonable to have a direct link that you can use to, you know, say, hey, you want to ask a particle physicist a question? Get it on the segment at smashomash.com/forum. It's 100% free. And it's not the same thing as smashomash.com/smashteam. It's been around much longer. All these links are available at smashomash.com. There's the forum. There's the merch. There's the Smash team. Smashomash.com. And welcome to the Neo Renaissance. We make things really easy for people. And those who don't make use of the massive ease that we've created, well, then that's on them. Cheers. And welcome to the Neo Renaissance. Next are Iceland cams, and it's cloudy in Iceland, as evidenced by this cloudy moon rising. And let's move on to volcanoes. These are the erupting issues around planet Earth, starting with Klyuchevskoye on the Kamchatka Peninsula, producing a 20,000-foot plume of volcanic ash. Please do not pole vault the caldera. Please do visit the links below the video, as they contain the links that we talked about earlier. Luatolo there produced a 6,000-foot ash plume. That's not a 60,000-foot ash plume, by the way, 1.9 kilometers. Krakatoa. Intense eruptive phase there at Krakatoa, the daughter of Krakatoa there, folks. Looks like about a 5,000-foot plume of volcanic ash there. Merapi. Oh, massive explosion there at Merapi. Check it out, 50,000-foot ash plume there. Flight level 500, folks, over western Sumatra. No detected precursor, i.e. any indicators of increased level of seismic activity or ground deformation. Just boom, and a pyroclastic flow, no less. Dag. Let sleeping volcanoes lie, folks. Popocatépetl exploding, flight level 220, over central Mexico. No volcanic ash observed from Nevado del Ruiz in Colombia. Sangay in Ecuador exploding, flight level 200, flight level 270 over Sabancaya. Revenador issued the following report. And Villarrica, vigorous Strombolian eruption appeared at the volcano last night. No indication on an ash plume. Please do not pole vault the caldera. Getting to seismic activity, it's been very active. Multiple 7-magnitude quakes, looking like aftershocks. We're certainly hoping none of these are foreshocks, as if those are foreshocks, that is bad times to come. But yeah, multiple 7-magnitude quakes. More tsunami warnings sent out today from Smash Team. And these are the quakes of a 5 or greater magnitude. Well, most of them. So Philippines, 5.3. Indonesia had a 5.2. South of those Philippine quakes. And then a 5.1 at the Philippines, a 5.2 at the Philippines. We're going to stop calling out all those quakes because that is too many. Just a massive number of quakes. All pretty much in the same location. And then a 6.6, that generated a tsunami alert. That is a lot of quakes. And then a 6.9 downgraded from a 7.0. That generated a tsunami alert. And yeah, all of the world's 5 and greater magnitude quakes occurred right there, it looks like. Except maybe that one at the South Sandwich Islands. Dag. That is some serious activity there at Philippines. So let's get back to space here, and before we show you these insane full videos of coronal mass ejections, pretty good ones, let's take a look at some stats, starting with the 10.7. Radio flux is at, I believe, 146. 146 solar flux units, I think it is. Is that right? 139. Oh, okay. Downgraded. There's the 1-year graph of the radio flux. 139. It's actually down here. So that's the black line. And, of course, the red line sunspot number. We've seen a slight increase, and we'll get another one, I think, in the coming 24 hours, but we'll have to see what happens there. And what's going on in Space Weather Enthusiast dashboard is the coronal hole high-speed stream showed up a little earlier than expected. And by the way, we were expecting a minor CME impact as well, so don't be surprised to see a little extra signal in there sometime late tonight, early tomorrow morning. So, again, it's, what can I say? You forecast what you see CMEs, you forecast them. So sometime tonight, tomorrow morning, another CME possibly coming through. It'll be minor. Next, the last 4 hours of Earth's magnetic moment from space. And allow me to show that in full screen. No major geomagnetic pickups yet because, well, magnetic fields have not been strong or particularly negative BZ oriented. that's the past 4 hours of Earth's magnetic moment from space. Some variations happening there in the solar wind, or a change of instruments could do it. Here are the last 4 hours of Earth's magnetic moment from the ground. These are likely places to see telluric currents, changes in magnetometer readings, possibly the aurora, induction into power grids, induction into pipelines and railways. So those are the sudden variations that just showed. And we do have KP2. KP2 is the geomagnetically calm situation. The KP index is a global average of geomagnetism. And here's a solar wind. Let's skip the ACE entirely. There's the ACE. It's got a bunch of missing data, so let's go to the Discover. And here is the arrival of the coronal hole high-speed stream's density wave, up to about 30.5 protons per cubic centimeter there. And then as the density drops off, the telltale signature of a coronal hole high-speed stream, the speed comes up, usually along with the plasma temperature signal, as you see there. Perfect example of a coronal hole high-speed stream. Current conditions are about 12.25 protons per cubic centimeter for the solar wind density. Solar wind velocity here, 527 kilometers a second. And a little spike in the GOES magnetometer recently happened there. Right around noon local time for the GOES 16, a little magnetic spike. And next our line of sight. Top view ecliptic plane field plot. Top view ecliptic plane field plot. That should be a name of a song. Top view ecliptic plane field plot. You can almost even say it. And Earth is approaching the edge of this South Pole oriented current sheet. I think yesterday it was 36 hours away or something I said, so it's going to be close. Should be North Pole magnetic sector by tomorrow's daily space weather video. So sector boundary crossing imminent in the next about 12 hours. There's our line of sight field plot, which is just exquisite in its detail. It might not look so visually pleasant, but if you know what you're looking at, it's pretty sweet. Next, our line of sight ecliptic plane field plot, and a little story about when I took college astronomy. One of the things that was always being said was, you know, radio astronomy is the way of the future. And all the kids were like, radio astronomy's boring. I don't want to look at boring radiographs. And now everybody's looking at radiographs. Well, radio astronomy is some of the most exciting stuff, folks. And I won't get into why, but it has to do with cosmology. Anyway, here's our line of sight coronal hole plot. And again, we've got North Pole coronal holes rotating in here around the equator there in the east. And let's take a look at those once we let that play through one more time. There you go. North Pole coronal holes rotating in. So this is south. And it is definitely hardcore. And this one over here is north. So the sector boundary is something like this. Here's a little closer view. So coronal hole high-speed stream showing up a little bit earlier than the forecast there, not accompanying any sort of geomagnetic storms at the moment. Things are pretty chill indeed. Next to sunspots. Sunspot number. It has come up a little bit. It's at, what is that, 110, 111 maybe? Something like that. Just below the current average. And it could be still rising here. Let's take a look at our flare probability monitor and scoreboard. What happened? That am I. There we are. And I still say there's a very high likelihood of a large solar flare, especially down here, but there's also a big chance up here. So Western Limb remains a likely spot to see a large solar flare, folks. Don't be surprised to see a proton event Not a likely large Earth-directed CME, though. So anyway, here are sunspots. That's the SDO continuum. And we got a new sunspot rose right here. It's pretty modest. And a more exciting group rapidly formed back here. Actually, that's 2 new groups. So that'll be at least 30 new sunspots. I don't think a lot of those are counted yet. So, I mean, looking at this, well, it looks like those are already named. No, those aren't named yet. So we'll have more named groups anyway. That's what's going on with sunspots. And let's move to energetic particles. Again, there is a heightened likelihood of seeing an energetic particle event here at the moment. That's always exciting. Likelihood of a proton event, folks. It is certainly there. That's the ghost proton flux for the past 3 days. No proton events for a long time, and flaring has remained at a baseline below a C-class level. Only minor C-class intensifications over the past 24, not even a C5 event. And here come flares. Our wavelengths, the best wavelengths through which to view flares. Again, let me reiterate, those aren't, I say this regularly, these aren't actually flares. I mean, flares are solar X-rays. And like I said, we have a high likelihood of a large flare up here, not just because of those setting sunspots being in proximity to the limb, but also because of those, many of those filaments could rapidly become unstable. So that's area B to watch. Area A to watch is sunspot 3500. That has been the main producer of large flares here for the past several days. As it approaches the limb, it's still got some chances. So as you can see there, the largest flare actually was from behind the limb, a common occurrence. So before we get to CMEs, let's talk a little bit about what's going on overhead. We'll pause for a minute in the SDO action to show a star chart. There you go. Don't chart over the star chart. Skyandtelescope.org is where we got ours. Just put in your location and click now. A good night, perhaps, to view the rings of Saturn if it isn't a rainy mess where you are located like it is here. Next, our solar system forecast. There's where things are today. There's where things will be in a week as we approach the December new moon, which is coming around 12/12. It looks like 12/12 for the December new moon. And check out the astronomy photo of the day. This is what happens when the moon collides with the Earth. Oh my God! Dear God, the moon is colliding with the Earth. Just kidding. Of course, it's taken with a telescope that's 16 kilometers away from these people, and that's why that's just so awesome. Well done to Daniel Lopez. That's, by the way, at the Canary Islands, at El Teide, Spain. There is an observatory up there, after all. The El Teide, Spain Hydrogen Alpha Telescope. We've shown it dozens and dozens of times when we used to do these videos in the morning instead of the evening. So there you go. An awesome moon set right around sunrise at La Canaria. El Canaria? Whatever it is. And I mean, who wouldn't want to cling to some rocks to view the moon set and sunrise? It seems like a brilliant idea. I would do something like that. What about you? Let us know in the comments. Let's skip ahead a little bit and get the final moon set. It's apod.nasa.gov, by the way, if you want to check it out on your own. apod.nasa.gov. Next, CMEs. Yeah, we got CMEs. You want to see CMEs? Oh, you want to see CMEs? All right. Here come coronal mass ejections. This is yesterday. See yesterday's video for analysis of it. These videos happen late in the day nowadays, so yesterday's video is yesterday's video. It's in a convenient playlist for you. That's 103 frames from yesterday. And here are today's 90 frames, and here comes an anti-dentite. Yeah, way to go, anti-dentite. Smash Staff's an anti-dentite, by the way. A rabid anti-dentite. Anyway, that's 90 frames of CMEs from today. And some pretty sweet ones there. You're probably wondering if any of those are earthly directed. Well, so am I, frankly. So let's move on to do some further analysis. A great bubble CME there coming out of the southwest with distinctly different portions to it. We'll talk about that in a moment. First, let's let that play through once more. So a great example there of a CME with an outer shell and an inner portion that's completely different makeup probably than the outer shell. And then that would be like an extended period CME. And then depending on which part of it hit the earth, it would be at a different, there'd be different little density spikes and filaments showing up in there. So it's quite complex. And of course, every CME is different. People always ask, what would happen if a Carrington event happened? And it's like, well, it's kind of impossible. I mean, literally everything in nature is unique. So every CME is vastly different from the other ones. If it would require very specific things to be like a Carrington event. And there's a great view of that CME with a central core. So you'd have like high density right in here. And then you'd have a density drop off, completely different magnetic fields perhaps, and then a very high density core in here, and then all kinds of different variables in there. Very chaotic. We'll also show stereo A. Stereo A, it's located right there. And the answer is no, those are not earthly directed CMEs. Great view of the distance imagery, by the way. Not distance imagery, difference imagery. Did I say distance imagery? Difference imagery. That's what I meant. Right in there. Look at that. You can see the CME starting to evolve as it makes its way out of the corona. And of course, you can have a thing, kind of looks like a light bulb. Anyway, let's get to our custom coronagraphs. They are pretty sweet. There you have it. That's a 24-hour video. You've got SDO 193 angstroms in the middle. Both coronagraphs on Soho. Here's a little closer view. And the answer is no. Those just aren't earthly directed. That one out of the southwest is from completely behind the limb, I think. Does not look like it is anywhere near Earth. It's somewhat on the far side, I think. Anyway, here we've dropped C3 and added 304 angstroms to the SDO. 3 layers at a time on HelioViewer, by the way. 3 layers at a time. If you want. And before we get the filaments, here is the full disk view. Very nice. Anyway, next to plasma filaments. Oh, and don't forget to press the like button, or else. If you don't press like, folks, then who knows what will be sleeping under your bed tonight, or perhaps sleeping under the river Styxwater when your soul is plunged into it. Press like, and don't forget to follow us over on Twitter. Thanks to our 500th follower, whoever that was. If you can prove it, maybe we'll send you some kind of merch. I don't know. I guess it's possible. We should make some new merch about online censorship. Yes, to mock Twitter. To mock Twitter and to mock all cultists. Because cultists have deserved mockery since their cults began. Anyway, look at all the filaments. Just a berserk number of filaments, folks. I mean, dag. Look at that three-dimensional star right there. The corona is a little bit bumpy right now on the Earth side. So I think I'm going to name this one, if nobody else names it for me. Just follow the hashtag name that filament. Nah, I won't name it yet, but I could. That's a good one. And there's the grayscale imagery. You can see that crown prominence still hanging out at the southern polar region, and a massive filament at the northwest. There's going to be a large CME out of the northwest in the coming 12 hours, could be even sooner. Expect a large CME out of the northwest. There is more plasma than can be maintained. Next, bonus features, but before that, the last couple of hours from the GOES 18. There you go, GOES 18. And here goes the bonus feature segment. Satellite charging hazards. Only minor surface charging there over the Middle East and East Africa. Electron flux cratered. Typical of coronal hole high-speed streams. Erroneous. There is the 1 year graph of the electron flux, about as low as she'll go. There is the forecast model, and the forecast looks like it's right on. That's NOAA's forecast, represented by the green box. We'll also show the ionosphere layer, the F layer, the place where. You could say it's the bridge between Earth and space. There you go. It's about 300 kilometers of altitude, the layer known as F. And things are quiet on the space-Earth bridge front. There is the anomaly in megahertz from a 30-day median, and again, no major anomalies there. It is geomagnetically calm conditions. There's the latest 2315. Next, the whole atmosphere model, the Global Ionosphere Nowcast. A sensational quick look at the total electron content and maximum usable frequency, benefiting both GPS operators and radio operators alike. They have conflicting interests when it comes to space weather. Next, our total electron content forecast, only the world view here. There's the full globe view. And we'd show you North American anomaly, but we ain't got it. So this looks extremely questionable. This quote, forecast, end quote. Again, the North American views are completely jacked. None of those will load. We'll close out with the latest. And let's move to meteorology. Yes, as the atmospheric river shows up, there's a massive low south of the Alaskan Peninsula, really. And check out the total cloud water and the surface winds. That is a strong low, and that is a lot of moisture. So more to come, and there's some major flooding in the forecast, so make sure you stay tuned for that. So that's total cloud water. Very significant system there, going to bring additional rains and some snow. We'll show the forecast. First, surface winds of the east. Jet streams are next. Jet streams of the central world. Surface winds. It's a windy day at South Ireland. Surface winds of the Americas and the jet streams. Jet stream convergence happening over the eastern U.S. as the jet stream points to the northwest, and then there's an upper level low here in the Caribbean, actually. The Caribbean there, an upper level low, a high pressure zone at the jet stream scale. Next, we'll show clouds and fog. You can expect to see clear skies over the Caribbean, and indeed you do, as you would expect over a high pressure zone. No surprises there to our regular viewers, and here's a little close-up of this moisture. We centered this on Nevada, as there is a lot of moisture not arriving yet from the Pacific. But it's coming. Second wave. 6 more inches of rain are on the way to especially Oregon. Check it out. There's the 3-day forecast. And that is going to be suboptimal for a lot of people. So that's showing 5.5 inches there in coastal Oregon. That's the Euro model for the next 3 days of rain accumulation. There's the GFS model, still over 5 inches. So heavy rains there up the Pacific Northwest coast. Be ready for that. Have your kayaks ready, because there's going to be a lot of sailing going on. So here's weather.gov, and you can see lots of flooding on the forecast maps there for Washington, Oregon, and Northern California especially. I don't know why it jumps like that. I press the scroll button, and I dislike it. Anyway, there's the key. There's the full nation map. Some winter storm warnings popping up again, and here comes some forecasts, starting with the GFS, a 72-hour pressure and precipitation. So like I said, a second wave is going to come through, and it's going to bring additional heavy rains. And then it's going to work its way south. California will be getting hit last and being hit heavy. Last and heavy. There's our total accumulated precipitation in inches. And again, some portions of those states there expecting to get over 5 inches. That's pretty moist. Pretty moist. This will be blamed on carbon dioxide. Next, accumulated positive snow depth change in inches. So that's your snow forecast for the places that are getting some. Like most of New England, lots of Pennsylvania and New York, and the Rockies. Also a small coating there across the center of the country around the Great Lakes. That'll be some lake effect snow also affecting Pennsylvania. Last but not least, temperature anomaly forecast, as Montana's going to have freakishly warm weather along with the Dakotas. It's going to be like 25 degrees Celsius above normal for this time of year. So enjoy that. Those days are getting short. We are in the darkest 6 weeks of the year. Yes, the darkest 6 weeks of the year. In fact, we're almost in the darkest month of the year, folks. Oh my God, the darkest 4 weeks. Dear God, it's almost wintertime. And keep in mind, at the solstice, it starts getting brighter out again. Anyway, that's GFS 72-hour temperature anomaly forecast in degrees Celsius. Yada, there's lightning. And it's not so exciting, although there was some lightning in Pennsylvania there. Check it out. Here's a real-time lightning map, courtesy of lightningmaps.org. Next time you hear thunder, I check it out regularly when I hear thunder. I want to know where it happened. And do we have active cells? No. No, we don't. Or do we? I think we do. Check it out. Some lightning activity there in New York. The Empire State. Anyway, there's the global map. Things are pretty calm for lightning. Closing this mother out with U.S. Doppler. Moisture finally moving out of Pennsylvania. There is clouds and fog as a low heads northwest toward Arkansas. I'm talking about this one. Also, you can see this moisture is being affected here as cold air from Canada is moving this to the south. So that's a thing that's going on. It'll be more obvious in the water vapor map. A little jet stream activity there. This cold air making its way down and bringing a lot of that moisture with it. Also creating huge pressure gradients and squall lines as that moves to the east. Anyway, there is your U.S. Doppler radar map. Clouds and fog. And water vapor. And here's me spooking myself back to the bunker. I'm spooking back to the bunker because I'm spooked of space. Hopefully you're not too spooked of space by watching utter and complete tripe on YouTube. But in any case, see you soon. In the meantime, may that solar wind be at your back. Whoa.